It's about 2 years worth of work. Actually more than that. There are some, I think some of the monotypes might be a little bit older than that, but it spans about from 2 to maybe 6 years worth of work. And I work primarily as a painter, but I also do the monotypes a few times a year as a little bit of a, not a release, but an accompaniment to the work in the studio. As you can see, the work has a lot to do with space, primarily, architecture, specific places, and remembrances of specific places. Like this piece here is very much about where we live in New York, the studio that I have, the changes that have been going on in New York, right where we live in Times Square, Hell's Kitchen area, just above Chelsea, and there's just been an explosion of development and rebuilding and parking lots turning into hotels and all kinds of great things. But the space of New York is something that I've taken to after having lived in San Francisco, where you have all the different vantage points are up on hills, and in the city you're 10 stories up all the time. My studio was on the 10th floor for many years, and I saw a lot of things come up around me in Times Square being built outside my studio. Now I'm on the 4th floor, and we used to have this little half a block commute from my apartment to the studio, which made everybody jealous. But you'd cut through the buildings, and then the construction sites are all going up around you, so you can kind of see that kind of space, I think, in pieces like that. And in all my work, I think that space is a personal thing, but it's something that we all can relate to. It's something that we all bring our own memories to. But in particular for myself, it's this combination of these Midwestern homes that I remember, and continually, they crop up in dreams all the time. These places. Interior spaces that often are that shift from walls that fall apart, walls that fall away, planes that open for both an interior and exterior space simultaneous. So, like, I think a lot of, especially the newest work of some of these, has to do with like sort of that liminal space between consciousness of being in an interior space and an exterior space. And I think a lot of Texas architecture is about that, because you have this intense light, and you have a need to bring that into an interior space as well. Like the title of the show, this Clerestory, is an element in architecture that I find sort of poetic in a way. Is that as an artist, or like even in the gallery space, you need the wall space, you need all that, but you want to bring in that as much of the natural light as you can. You bring in the outside without keeping the heat out, things like that. But you maintain that sense of the interior, but you're aware of the exterior at the same time. You sort of bring that with you, and if you can mingle both of those at the same time, I think it's an interesting state to be in. Well, when I was there, I was mostly doing ceramics with Gretchen Haviland and with brother Rhode. And at Jesuit at the time, the arts department was, I think, primarily just the ceramics department. And that was the place where if anybody who had something to express, unless they were in the Battle of the Bands or something, would gravitate to the art department. And people just absolutely loved both those teachers, and myself included, of course. And Ms. Haviland really encouraged me to sort of push beyond just, the average, everybody makes a beer mug and all that. But she really, showed me other ceramicists and different cultures, and a real important aspect of that was a trip we took to like an overnight. She selected a group of us to go down and do an overnight wood-fired raku kiln burn. We spent the entire night there feeding this slow burning kiln, hand-fed, and there's a real community aspect to it that I just loved. And the things that we got, I didn't even think I think my pot might have split in two or something. I don't even know. It didn't really matter. It was that that sort of inspired me. So I mean, this is something I would like to be around people like this. One of the greatest things about RISD is they had this thing called the winter session, when you could do something outside of your concentration, outside of your major. And I went from painting to painting, but I took this watercolor class with this Professor Victor Lara that just completely freed me up and opened up the way that I was working at the time. I was a figurative painter, but I was very tight. My teachers were always grabbing my paintings and pulling out the palette knife and going like, try this, try that, splashing stuff. And I couldn't get loose at all, but I took Victor's class and really got turned on to color. So this was done right after being at RISD when we first moved to San Francisco. And the quality of light out there, the use of color, all of that was in the work at that time. This is I believe I know there's gouache in this piece. I believe there's distemper as well, and possibly some watercolor in there. But the distemper is using, yeah, I can see it now, using rabbit skin glue, which would be what traditionally you would use to size a painting when you're stretching it, linen, to make it protected and to make it nice and tight. But you can also just use that as a medium and take powdered pigments and mix that, your own paints that way, so that it's very little medium and just pure color, almost pure pigment. And that you can see that in a lot of these wash areas as well. And the gouache also has that dry quality where the pigment just gets so intense, and in these blue areas here. I'll roll out the large, broad areas of color. This blue that goes through here, and then the gradation that comes up in here, sort of really evoking the Japanese woodblock prints that I love so much. And then I take, I'll have a large palette where I can work out all my colors, and then another place where I can work on the plate. And over on the palette, I'll take other smaller pieces of usually wax paper, sometimes a very thin mylar, or even like newsprint. So different areas that I can then ink up and then add texture to, and allow to sort of, work freely through the palette in a different color. So things start to get strange combinations with them. And then I'll cut the shapes or tear them. Like this would be wax paper here. This would be wax paper, where I can, crumple it up and then lay ink on it and then rub it back down so that even the creases hold ink. Cut the edges, leave the back side of it bare, so if it falls, then I lay them straight onto the inked up plate. If it falls with the back side sitting up, you get this nice fold. It's nice working with my printer because it is a collaboration in many ways. Always I'm in my studio by myself, and now I'm in a studio with another artist and her assistants, and there's a dialogue between what we're doing. I'm working on maybe 2 or 3 plates at a time. I hand them to her. She goes to the press, they pull it, and I'm already working on the next one. They pull it up, I take a look at it, we talk about it, get discouraged, fall in love, whatever. Either work on it again or say, it's great, put it away, I'm on my next one, It's very different than being alone in your studio. So the print world's fantastic. Those people stick together like you wouldn't believe.